I, 22 female, recently gave birth to a baby girl. My husband, 27, and I are both huge geeks. We basically met at a cosplay convention. I was cosplaying as my favorite female character in a popular anime, and she also turned out to be my future husband's favorite character. So we decided to honor her and the reason we met by naming our daughter after her. Please note that in Western culture, her name is a masculine one and has a slightly different spelling, so we chose to keep the original spelling. We also chose to keep the name a secret until she was born. Important detail, my sister-in-law also has a daughter, Kaylee. It's not an actual name, but you get the spirit. I think that it's hilarious and dumb to give your kid a name with a spelling like that, but I've never made any comments about it, as it's her business, after all. And my kid's name is rare and unusually spelled as well. As I delivered my daughter and we were out at the hospital, we finally disclosed her name. Most of our relatives were okay with her name. Some even said it was beautiful. However, my sister-in-law lost it. She said it's a stupid name, and deciding to name a kid after a fictional villain is idiotic. She also threw in some awful words, including the worst swear aimed at my daughter and me. I'm Asian American. It was expected, as she often makes snarky comments about our hobbies and interests. However, this time I lost it and yelled at her, saying that it's our decision to name our kid and that it was better than Kaylee. She started crying, saying that I was unreasonably rude, and stormed off. My husband and mother-in-law took my side and said that I was right and that my sister-in-law overstepped the boundary. However, my sister-in-law continues harassing me, demanding an apology, and even managed to turn some of our mutual friends against me. So am I the idiot? Edit. My baby's name is Conan, after Conan from Naruto. You named a baby girl Conan? Oh my. Oh my. For your daughter's sake, I hope everyone in your area knows anime and doesn't immediately jump to Conan the Barbarian instead. I was thinking of Conan the Barbarian too. I wish parents would think of their kids before trying to do something unique and sentimental for their selfish reasons. A kid isn't a dog or a cat. They're a human who has to deal with the repercussions of their name. Second names exist for this reason. First name, canonical name. Second name, every stupid sentimental crap you wanted to name the kid, but your brain worked and you didn't. Seriously, why don't people stick to weird middle names? Give the kid a chance. I also think of the Barbarian, but I'm 35. I don't think the little kids in play school with OP's daughter will be well versed in 80s Arnold Schwarzenegger movies as we are. I don't really like the name, to be honest, especially with the K spelling, but I'm not sure the repercussions are any more dire than sometimes being mistaken for a boy. Congrats, you're both idiots. Conan and Kaylee? Seriously? Everyone's the idiot here. The sister-in-law was out of line, and there's zero excuse to be throwing slurs around. But OP is still an idiot for doing this to a child. For one thing, she'll be dealing with extra bullying on that name from kindergarten through high school. There's always going to be someone who brings up Conan the Barbarian. That's the name she'll have to put on resumes and job applications. Is it fair? No, but it's the way it is. Children are not inanimate objects that you can just stick an enamel pin on so people know your fandoms. Yes, Conan is a legitimate name in Japanese culture, but you specifically named her that for a Naruto villain. You made her life so much more difficult than it needed to be for a nerd reference. She's a human being, not a prop to strengthen your nerd cred. Poor kid. I wish people would realize that the kid is the one who has to live with the name they're given. I've been with my boyfriend for 9 years. We shared everything until one day he took it too far. We live in a small apartment to save up for marriage and one-day children. We are very happy together. He doesn't have a very good relationship with his parents, but he has a sister. She has a disability, and he's always been extremely caring of her. He's always been the type to get me presents when I'm feeling down. He got me an octopus plush and a beautiful necklace. It was rose gold, and I wore it all the time. It's the prettiest thing I own. His sister always took an interest in the necklace due to the shine. She came over to look at the necklace. I let her put it on and she loved it. The next day, it was gone. I looked all over the house. Meanwhile, my boyfriend did nothing but say, "It'll turn up." It clicked in my head that it was apparent that his sister took it, but I was late for work, so I left. On my way home, I decided to stop by my boyfriend's mom, and I asked about their daughter. They said she was upstairs. I was talking to her when I saw it on her neck and politely asked for it back, but she refused, claiming it was hers and she was not giving it back. I left raging without saying goodbye. I came in and told my boyfriend, and he defended her. I left and spent the night at my parents' later that day. I got a message from my boyfriend's mom, who explained that it was entirely out of order and that even after my boyfriend gave it to her, I came storming in and demanding it back. I messaged back and explained I had no idea my boyfriend gave it to her, and I had lost it, and I wasn't happy because I wore it all the time. She hasn't answered. Am I the bad person? By the way, he gave it to her without my knowledge. Not the idiot. Your boyfriend needs to sort this out. If he doesn't, it says a lot about him if he's willing to steal from you. His sister knows it's your necklace and should give it back. However, from how her mom is acting, I wonder if she's used to getting her own way, so she just expected to be able to keep it and nobody would say anything. Oh wow, your boyfriend's a liar, and I can't believe he gave your necklace away. Why didn't he just go buy his sister her own necklace? Honey, keep this in mind when you consider your relationship with him. In the future, will you two be expected to care for her in your home? It seems like he won't prioritize and defend you with her, and this could be the dynamic for your whole relationship in the future. That is stealing. Do you want to be in a relationship with a lying thief who doesn't respect you? You aren't going to want it back after you break up anyway, so let the necklace and him go. He has a wackadoodle family you need to be no part of. If they're doing this now, any future is very bleak. Kick him to the curb, and in 6 months, you'll be with a much better match. Don't settle for less. Time for a new boyfriend. I, 23 female, have been married to my husband, 27, for about 3 years. Our first child is a few months old. I've known my in-laws for over 5 years. We used to have an amazing relationship until 6 months after our wedding, when we had our first miscarriage. We knew we were going to miscarry before we told them we were pregnant. Since they asked about grandchildren every time we saw them, my husband told them in private that I was pregnant and having a miscarriage, and asked them not to mention anything about it. I was having a horrible time with it. We went to their house the next day, and they wouldn't stop talking about it. This never stopped. Fast forward to 1.5 years later, we were pregnant for the 3rd time, the first baby. We told my in-laws at 6 weeks. I wanted to wait, but my husband didn't. We asked them not to tell anyone, but they did anyway, and wouldn't stop, after explicitly being asked multiple times not to. They keep overstepping throughout the pregnancy. They wanted to be there when the baby was born. I said no, and my husband and I fought about it. After the baby was born, we told them not to kiss the baby. The baby's 2 weeks old. Father-in-law kisses baby. We tell him not to kiss the baby, and he says it's not a big deal. 4 days later, we see them again. Father-in-law kisses the baby on the face, and I cause a scene, take the baby and leave their house. My in-laws and husband say I overreacted and disrespected them. We didn't go back for 2 months. Now when the baby's almost 3 months old, I agree to take the baby back for a visit. Father-in-law holds the baby until she needs to eat. The baby's exclusively breastfed. As I'm feeding her, father-in-law says, "No more booby once she starts teething." I feel it isn't his place to tell me how or what to feed my baby. We're not close, and talking about anything personal makes me uncomfortable. So him talking about my breast at all is uncomfortable for me, but I don't say anything. He then tells me that I need to start giving the baby rice cereal. I tell him I'm not doing that, and I explain why, and he tells me that her doctor will put her on it soon, completely ignoring what I said. Mother-in-law then wants to hold the baby. Baby's very upset. I let her try to comfort the baby, but it isn't working. I go to stand next to my husband. Mother-in-law thinks I'm telling him to take the baby away, so she bitterly says, "You don't need to talk to him." This upsets me, as I didn't say anything to him. But also, I can say whatever I want to my husband. But again, I say nothing to her. After a few minutes, my husband takes the baby from mother-in-law and gives her to me. Father-in-law argues about this because mother-in-law, quote, knows how to hold a baby. I console the baby and get her to sleep. She likes to be rocked to sleep standing up. I give her back to mother-in-law, and she immediately sits down and wakes the baby up. We didn't stay much longer after that. It was clear the visit didn't go well. The next day, mother-in-law sends a text saying she wants to see us again soon. It's clear she's only sending this text because she knows it didn't go well. I sent a message saying it's clear yesterday didn't go well, and in-laws have some boundary issues they need to work on. I also say I know their intentions are good, but I need the constant comments and overstepping to stop. I try to phrase this message as politely as possible. I even sent it to my husband for his okay before I sent it. She replies asking what they need to work on, and I tell her the issues I had from the previous day. She replied saying we should be open with each other moving forward to avoid any issues, and I believe this response was genuine. However, a few hours later, my father-in-law calls my husband when he knows he isn't home to tell him that I'm no longer welcome at their house. My husband thinks everything is my fault and wants to take the baby to their house without me for the holidays. I say no. He said he's taking her anyway. I don't trust them to respect boundaries when I'm not there, and he can't stand up to them. I don't think not giving him free reign over my newborn is unreasonable for a newly postpartum first-time mom. Am I overreacting in everything? Not the idiot. The biggest issue I see is your husband's complete lack of respect and support. And there's no way I would trust them to respect boundaries with you not there. They don't even seem to do so even when you are present. Them banning you from their house seems like a manipulative tactic to keep you away, so they're free to do as they please in regards to your baby. And I would be enraged if my husband saw no issue with it. Your husband needs to grow a spine. He should be completely ashamed of himself. It's his job to support his wife and protect and raise his child. His idea is also ridiculous. He's showing he values his parents more than you instead of standing up to them so they stop being ridiculous. Why does he think it's acceptable that your child's first Christmas should be without one of her parents? Your husband needs to get his head out of his butt and get on the same page with you. This is your daughter, not his parents' do-over baby. That fact needs to be respected and prioritized. For me, the biggest red flag here is your husband telling you, a brand new first-time mother, that he's taking your breastfed infant to a holiday celebration at your in-laws without you, and whether you like it or not. That's one screaming 5-alarm warning fire, and a really disturbing and threatening thing for a husband to tell his wife and the brand new mother of his child. That is not okay. You don't threaten to forcefully separate your wife from your newborn baby for any reason that doesn't involve an immediate threat to your baby's well-being, and certainly not to placate your parents after they've just barred your wife from their home. How many more red flags do you need? Your husband is incredibly unsupportive and is taking mommy and daddy's side. You'll never win. I'd reconsider this marriage. I wanted to pour a new walkway from the end of our driveway, which terminates in our front yard, by the sidewalk, around the house to our backyard, where we have a nice little garden and gazebo. There are a lot of kids and stroller moms and dads in our neighborhood. Some children saw the wet concrete drying and stuffed sticks and rocks into it, and some carved their initials along with their palm prints. Well, I was not thrilled. I dug out the debris, then smoothed the concrete back over and put up a sign reading, "Please do not disturb. Drying." A mom I'm usually friendly with, we've walked our dogs alongside each other, said I was a mean old curmudgeon who was ruining precious childhood memories for the kids, who may want to go back and look at their initials and palm prints one day and reminisce. Someone else took my sign down, I noticed, the next day. It was lying in my yard by the bird bath, far away from where I'd placed it. Am I the idiot for this? It's my private property. These aren't my kids. Not the idiot. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Not even your kids? Some random kids? Tell the mom in question that vandalizing other people's property isn't making memories, and she can buy plenty of plaster mold sets for that purpose. Ask her if you can spray graffiti all over the front of her house and require her to keep it so you can revisit old memories later. God, that is a brilliant idea. Those people sound delusional and entitled. It's your private property and well within your rights not to be okay with kids messing up your work. Maybe look into getting a camera in case they decide to do more than just put a sign in your bird bath. And what is this teaching the kids? That it's okay to mess up someone's hard work? If they want their kids to have these precious childhood memories, they can pour some concrete on their property. Growing up, my dad built a detached garage in the backyard. We all did our handprints and initials with the date in the driveway. That is an appropriate childhood memory. I, female 46, have one child, Amy, not real name, who's 20 and lives in Boston. I live in Arizona. She's recently gone through a bad breakup, and while I am relieved she's not with him, Amy's not handling the breakup well. For some context, since she was young, she lacked resilience and needed a lot of guidance to get through things. As her mom, I'm happy to do this and believe it's my job. My husband, Amy's dad, supports this and would fly to see her instead of me, but we agreed it would be better if I went. The issue is, it's my friend's 40th birthday. She has 2 younger children and is really excited to go out. Other people are attending. I told her why I couldn't attend, and she responded by saying it was ridiculous and I needed to cut the cord, in addition to pointing out other times my husband and I canceled to see or tend to Amy. Well, I think it's justified to cancel plans for my daughter. Am I the idiot for canceling them for this reason? I'm going to say no idiots here. I can't really say you're an idiot for supporting your daughter this time, but I'm very curious about whether the other times you canceled plans with your friend were also somewhat justified or not. To be honest, I can see why your friend's patience is starting to wear thin. Continuing to drop everything to go and see her is not going to help your daughter's lack of resilience at all. If anything, you might be crippling or enabling her. As somebody who's been in the friend's position, I get the friend's response. I had a friend of almost 20 years. I was always making plans, and she'd end up canceling. I decided to quit being the one who reached out first. The friendship fizzled, and we don't talk anymore. OP is messing herself over. It's not easy to make new close friends later in life. This is a milestone birthday for your friend. OP already committed to joining her to celebrate, and there is no emergency here. OP can fly to see her daughter the day after the birthday outing and video call her daughter to commiserate in the meantime. It does not matter. It does not matter how old my child gets. I would drop everything if they needed me. I get that you shouldn't enable your child, and I would never want to do that, but this situation calls for it. She's 20, so she's still immature, but this was also probably a big love. The first heartbreak is the absolute worst. OP wants to be there for her daughter, who's having a rough time. The girl is 20. There are lots of breakups in her future. It sounds like you need to go to her more than she needs you to come. Frequent phone calls or have her come home, if she can, for a few days. If, at 20, she's struggling worse than the average 20-year-old with a breakup, she needs an appointment with a professional. LOL, my daughter has resilience issues? Proceeds to fly to Boston whenever she stubs a toe. Your friend has a point. You are the idiot. I think by running to her side the moment things get tough, you're ultimately doing your daughter a disservice. You can be supportive in many ways while always teaching your daughter independence and resilience.